In this story, the world has met its doom. Almost everything has been destroyed. The sky is the color of blood and the trees are dried husks of what they used to be once. Even the sun appears like the moon behind the red curtain of the sky. A young man is running away from someone or something in a forest of dead trees. He is wounded and tired, and his goal is to save his life from whatever is after him. He thinks that he finally managed to escape, but then he feels a presence behind his back. His face goes blank as he realizes that his end might be near too. He shouts at its pursuer to come out in front of him. His call is not met with anyone's response. He tries to turn back and face his fears, but there is really nothing behind him. Was he just paranoid because of his condition? He is about to turn front again when he realizes that he made a mistake when he turned back. The monster he feared was standing right in front of him, waiting for him to turn and face him. The man cannot do anything now. The monster tears him apart, limb after limb. As he is dying, he asks himself if this was really the end of everything. He realizes that it really was the end of his life, and he cannot think about it as he loses consciousness and dies. But then he wakes up in cold sweat at his office desk. He is still paralyzed from fear and cannot understand what was happening. He was still alive, and there was a desk full of files in front of his eyes. It was beyond his understanding at the time that he had been reincarnated to a time before the world ended. But before he has completely grasped the situation, someone taps him on his back. His mind and body are still in survival mode, and he turns back quickly to fight. He was holding a computer mouse in his hand and did not realize it until its wire snapped. Two people are standing there, a man and a woman. They call him Kinyu, and our protagonist does not recognize that name. He realizes that he is not in the same place where he was supposed to die, and he was in an office surrounded by other humans. But he still has some loose threads to tie before he can make sense of reality. He asks the people in front of him about the time. When someone tells him that it is 10:30 in the morning, he snaps and aggressively asks him about the year. It was still the year 2019. And his other colleagues begin making fun of him. They think that he forgot things because of a hangover, but they don't know what the man inside that body has been through. But he has no time to be angry at them. He sees something at the corner of his field of vision. The sky is as red as he remembered it. What was this place, and how did he reach here? He goes to the window to contemplate the answers to these questions, but then his boss comes in and begins scolding him for slacking off. The old boss thinks that he is talking to his old employee and tries to grab his shoulder. But Kin, or our protagonist, catches his hand and slams him into the floor. His colleagues get a little nervous upon seeing this. It was not like Kin to snap and become violent. Even if it was the 1st of April, this was not a way of playing pranks. All the dots begin to connect. It was the 1st of April 2019, the day of the beginning of the end. The red color of the sky was a testament to the impending doom. But no one except him knew about this fact, and it was no use telling them anything. People never believe anything until it is too late. He just tells them to go and spend their last moments with their loved ones and leaves the office. On the 1st day of April 2019, the sky turned red. There was rainfall that day, the rain of blood. It was weird and creepy, and most people were curious to know what was the reason behind it. But they found it out in much more horrible ways than they would like. The blood rain was a vector for a terrible virus, the virus that leads to the end of the world. Everyone who got touched by the rain collapsed. As the virus began to spread inside their bodies, they became worse. It would still be good if they had just died, but they rose mere moments after their lives ended. The undead, or zombies, were an unholy sight to behold. They hungered for blood and flesh and hunted humans for it. It was hard to stop them, as they could not be killed easily. And as they consumed more people, their strength grew and they mutated into monsters. No one in this world had seen hell, but if it was real, it would be something like that. Kin walks and finds that this world was strange to him. A man passes him and he notices that he is talking to someone using a small box-like device. This was the legendary communication device he had heard of in the stories, a smartphone. The age before the apocalypse was truly a time of technological marvel for a man who had spent his entire life in the wilderness. He felt something in his pocket and he found that he also had a device. Surprisingly enough, he could operate it without much difficulty. He opens it and finds the call log. There he sees a name, Xiao Yu, Kin's little sister. Her image and memories flood his mind. He was not just sent back in time, he had the memories of 2 lives. But that revelation is not pleasant, as the overload of memories and emotions gives him a sharp pain in his brain. But he realizes that even if he is not Kinyu, he must save his little sister. He calls her and she picks it up. She asks him if something happened for him to call during her school hours. He simply orders her to come home immediately. He refuses to elaborate and tells her that she should head back immediately after school. She agrees to what he says but is worried. A friend of hers approaches her from behind. She is looking very ill, and it turns out that she had developed a cold because of the rain this morning. Xiao Yu takes her to get medical attention, unaware of what could be the real reason her friend was not feeling well. Kinyu has the plan to survive the catastrophe. He goes to a shopping center to pile up all the essentials. The last thing on his list is a weapon. He needed one to take care of any zombie that might come after him. He was just a normal human right now, but in his original time, he had superhuman strength. The zombies were not the only creatures to mutate and evolve. Humans also mutated and became much more powerful in response to the threat. But no matter how powerful they got, the zombies had the advantage in both numbers and sheer strength. Everyone who could fight either died fighting or ended up as a zombie. But why was he suddenly sent to a time before the start of the zombie outbreak? Why was the universe so merciful to him? There was no answer to this question, but he would take it as an opportunity to save everything dear to him. He had been offered a second chance at life with the knowledge of the future. If he did not do everything he could to save the lives he cared about, what would be the benefit of reincarnation? He walks out of the store to find that the rain had already started. The people were out in the open without umbrellas, and even though the rain felt like it would burn their skin, the people did not seem to run away from it. They are more wary of him as he walks out carrying a steel pipe in his hand. He thinks that he must save himself from becoming a zombie. After that, he would take out as many zombies as he could before they grew stronger. He takes a cab and heads home. The cab driver is afraid of the steel pipe he has. He tries to initiate conversation, but Ken is not interested. He advises him to not take any more customers after him and rush back to his family. The conditions outside would worsen very rapidly. Then Ken receives a call from his sister. She has still not left school. He gets worried about hearing this and asks her if she was all right. Xiaoyu tells him that she was fine, but her friend was very sick. She had caught a cold and she was nursing her in the school infirmary. A chill runs down Ken's spine and he asks her about the symptoms. All of them match the symptoms of a zombie transformation. She must have been infected by the rain. Ken tries to tell his sister about the dangers, but she feels that her friend is waking up. She hangs up the call and goes to see her. Ken shouts at her to get away and run, but she has already disconnected the call. There is only one way to ensure her safety now. He must rush to be by her side. Ken grabs the shoulder of the driver, who is already terrified. If he was not scared of the steel pipe, he would be scared by the menacing look on Ken's face. He obeys without any complaints when he is told to drive faster. Xiaoyu is going towards her friend when the doctor enters the room. She is surprised on learning that the girl was awake so soon. She was so weak just a few minutes ago and now she just got up. When the doctor approaches her to check her temperature, the girl bites her fingers. The doctor and Xiaoyu are both shocked by her wild behavior. The girl laughs like a maniac. Her skin is pale and her eyes are red. She attacks the doctor once again, and this time, she bites her neck. Xiaoyu is frozen stiff from fear as she sees the horrible thing her friend does. But she does not seem to be content with killing just one person. The zombie jumps at Xiaoyu, her jaws aimed at her neck. But just as she is about to bite her, a steel pipe hits her head and she is flung across the room. Kinyu had arrived just in time to save his little sister. He gets closer to the zombie girl, who was struggling to get up, and decides to not take any chances. He stabs her head with the sharpened end of the pipe and the girl stops moving. Xiaoyu cries upon seeing her brother kill her friend. She had suddenly seen too much violence and is terrified. But Ken explains to her that her friend was no longer a human. She had become a zombie and he did the right thing by finishing her. If she was left to live, she would have killed her or other people. Xiaoyu is still not satisfied with his explanation, but Ken is not emotional in the least. He tells his sister that they should escape while it was still safe. Once they get out, it is raining even harder. Xiaoyu puts her palm to feel the rain and Ken frantically pulls her back and scolds her. She is taken aback by her brother's behavior and asks him if he was mad at her. He tells her that the rain is not safe and notices that a few drops have already touched her hand. If she was vulnerable to the virus, this amount may also prove to be fatal. He asks her if she was okay. Was her hand not burning where the rain fell? She does not understand and asks when did acid rain get so serious in their city. Ken finds it hard to believe that she did not feel anything at all from the rain. Even those who would eventually prove to be resistant to the virus felt the burning sensation. Could it be possible that her resistance was the strongest of all? But there is no need in time to find it out. Ken had prepared for every possibility and brought raincoats for both of them. He tells her to put it on and try to not touch even a single drop of rain. They head for their home on foot and the rain has started showing its effect. The streets are a scene of carnage and violence. Those who have turned into zombies are attacking their friends and families, and Xiaoyu understands what her brother meant earlier. He tells her that they should move as quietly and quickly as they can, but Xiaoyu shouts her affirmation. Ken scolds her that making loud noises would attract the zombies to them, and if that happened, they would both be eaten. She realizes that she had just put their lives in danger and decides to be quieter. Ken does not stop to help anyone who can still be saved from the zombie attack. If a person is bitten by a zombie, he would soon turn into them because of the virus. He urges Xiaoyu to not stop anywhere. But then someone screams for help and comes running out of the building. An overweight boy is being chased by some zombies. He is relieved that he has found some humans and asks Ken to take him with them too. But Ken notices the bite mark on his arm. He tells him that he cannot take him as it would be dangerous for them. But the boy starts shouting and holds Xiaoyu's arm. He wants to take her down with him if he was going to die. But Ken punches him off and rushes away with his sister. The zombies surround the boy and start eating him. His cries and wailing pain Xiaoyu, who thinks that they are responsible for the boy's death. But Ken tells her that he was already in the process of turning. He had not told this fact to the boy to stop him from panicking, but he was not going to live. The siblings finally reach their home. Ken is still cautious about the presence of zombies in their building and asks his sister to stay close to him and quiet. He is right as he hears the footsteps of someone coming down. One of their neighbors had turned into a zombie. Ken steps ahead to finish him off and tries to hit him, but the man catches his weapon. Even though he was a frail old man, he manages to overpower Ken. Becoming zombies removed the limiters on the human body, and this made them much stronger than when they were human. He pushes Ken down and is trying to bite him when Xiaoyu throws a brick at its head. The attack does not harm the zombie, but it diverts its attention towards the girl. He rushes to attack her, and Ken uses this chance to beat him down and kill him. He asks Xiaoyu if she was unharmed. Thankfully, she was not hurt, but she was still crying. The old man they just killed was their neighbor, and he was a good person. He consoles her and they both enter their apartment. There is one thing that Xiaoyu cannot understand. How did her brother know so much about the zombie apocalypse? It was not an apocalypse yet, the condition of the world was not known. But he was sure that it was the end of the world. Before she can ask him anything, he tells her something important. He warns her that the future is going to be very dangerous. Of course, he would protect her, but she would have to become stronger and more conscious too. No person could be trusted in the world. It will be a battle for survival, and humans will turn selfish. They will try to protect only themselves and won't hesitate to harm strangers and even family members for that. He further explains to her that all zombies were not the same. Some were more powerful and dangerous than others, but they would not come into play immediately. The regular zombies were like the ones they saw on the road. They acted like they were on drugs and became active only when near normal humans. They had explosive strength but were slower than humans in long distances. Once those zombies consumed humans and started to mutate, they would gain more strength and intelligence. That made them even more dangerous, and no human could hope to fight and defeat one. It was possible for humans to gain strength like the zombies, but it was not going to be easy. He had no other option but to become stronger if he wanted to survive. He would hunt zombies for the crystals inside their bodies and use them to become stronger. Xiaoyu does not understand the severity of what he is saying, but she trusts her brother. She asks him what they should do, and he tells her to first take a shower because it would not be possible after a few days. He had come to this time from a dystopian future, and he wanted to take this opportunity to shower in peace. He goes first and starts showering, but he hears the door creak and immediately looks back. Xiaoyu is there with a shampoo bottle. He scolds her that was she not embarrassed to enter the bathroom when someone was in there. But she tells him that they had taken baths together since they were little. There was no reason for him to be shy now. She helps him by washing his back. After that, they have dinner. Xiaoyu suggests that they should seek shelter and help from the military. That would be safer than holing up in their apartment. But Ken tells her that it is not a good idea. The military had weapons to hold the zombies back, but their ammunition would be limited. They will soon run out of bullets and bombs, and they will all fall too. Xiaoyu says that he could tell them everything he knew, and that way the chances of both their survival and victory would skyrocket. But Ken is not really convinced. He says that it would be too risky to go to military camps while running from zombies. It could not be guaranteed that they would let them in with their limited rations and hear the pleas of ordinary situations. And the worst-case scenario of all, what if all people in the camp had turned? They would not seek help from anyone else, nor would they join other survival groups that will be formed soon enough. They were strong enough and had to be aware of other humans. Ken is working with some chemicals in his room when his sister enters and asks what he was doing. He was preparing some explosives. Xiaoyu is shocked. She asks him when did he learn making them. Ken has now completely synced the memories of 2 lives and tells her that she can just search it online. He tells Xiaoyu to double bolt the front door for safety as he finishes his work. It is night and he gets to lie on a comfortable and soft bed. That was a luxury in the world and time he was from. Then Xiaoyu enters the room and asks him if she could sleep with him tonight. She was scared and worried about everything that had happened in the day. Ken does not mind and she falls asleep peacefully. Ken finds it hard to sleep. The day had been too busy to think clearly about his situation. He can only think about the impossible thing that had happened to him. Was it really possible for humans to reincarnate in another time? There were many stories and comics in human history that told stories like this, but they had to be fiction. And why him of all people? Was he really the last survivor of humankind, and this was the reason only he got this second chance? He cannot get an answer to his questions and falls asleep tired. The next morning, he gets up and is ready before Xiaoyu wakes up. She finds him ready to go outside and hunt some zombies when she opens her eyes. Why and how did the protagonist of this story reincarnate as Ken Yu? Is his knowledge enough to keep him and Xiaoyu safe? Will he really make it through the apocalypse with just the 2 of them, or would he trust others in this battle? The questions are many, but they can only be answered one at a time when we see the next video.